Hey guys, what is up? I want to start making some videos on Solidity. And Solidity is something that's piqued my interest more recently, especially with the rise of Web3 and with the rise of just blockchain and cryptocurrencies in general. It's something that I should have learned way long ago here, but I just kind of put it off here. But it's something that's kind of piqued my interest recently. So I've really begun to kind of learn it and research it more and more here. So I want to make a few videos, I want to make a few tutorials, kind of explaining the basics of Solidity and making smart contracts here. And this way you guys can learn your own here too. And like I always say, and like many people know, that when you teach, you also learn too here. So you guys are helping me, and hopefully I'm helping you guys out too, okay? So the way that most people start off with Solidity is there's something called Remix. And Remix is an online IDE. So I'm going to type in Remix, Ethereum. And it's going to be remix.ethereum.org. Now, just because it says Ethereum, it's not exclusive to just Ethereum here, all right? We can build smart contracts for other blockchains too here. If you're not a big fan of Ethereum, don't worry about don't worry about getting too typecast just with Ethereum using this here, okay? Now, when I first started using this, I found this very odd. Like, what was this online IDE thing here? What was going on here? Why can't I use Visual Studio Code? And the truth of the matter here is, because of the nature of the blockchain here, well, let me take a back step. You definitely can use Visual Studio Code here, but just because of the nature of the blockchain, it's not the same as just building a script and running like a Python script on your computer here. What Remix gives you is a VM here, basically a virtual network that's stored in memory here that you can test and deploy smart contracts on here and really see their functionality here. And like I said, at first I was really weird about Remix. I was very hesitant. Eventually, I kind of warmed up to it. So for basic stuff, for beginner purposes, I like Remix much better than using something like Visual Studio for Solidity, okay? And later on here, which I'm sure I'm going to show you some stuff with Visual Studio 2 here, but I just want to show you some stuff with Remix 4 right now, okay? We get this little help and privilege, sure, why not here? And there's a bunch of stuff here. I'm just going to close out this here. There's a bunch of stuff that we could go over. We could talk about MetaMask, we could talk about different plugins, we can talk about all this here. By default, we have three different things here. We have basically a workspace from here. And one of the issues with Remix here is your files being backed up and whatnot here. You can actually download a workspace to your computer and then re-upload back to this IDE from here, okay? But that gets a little advanced. That's a little bit of a tangent here. Just keep that in mind that you could do that from here. We have contracts, we have scripts, we have tests, we have README here. In your contracts, they give you a few basic contracts from here. Take note of this here. We're going to come back to this in a second here. Also know that you have tabs, just like in Visual Studio. You can open up different scripts here and cross-reference them if you guys want, okay? Now, another thing you guys have here, another thing that, that you guys should have here is a compiler. We're going to talk more about the compiler later on here. Again, because of the nature of the blockchain here, things get a little bit weird here. Because of how things are ever evolving here, when you design a script here, you have to give it a certain compiler version because the compilers are always adapting from here. So at the very top of the script here, we're going to say compile with this certain version from here. And we're going to see later on here that if you compile with a different version, you might see some different issues and stuff like that here. Just keep in mind here that this is your compile by default. If you have errors, they're going to appear down here. And then the final one here, just because you have a smart contract compiled, doesn't mean it's deployed to the the blockchain just as of yet here. So if I wanted to deploy it to a blockchain, I would hit this little thing from here. Like I said, it's virtual machines from here. So this is all like fake accounts stored in my browser in memory. So these aren't real. These are just for testing. You could also hook it up to an injected Web3, which would be like a MetaMask. It says not found because I'm in guest mode right now. There's also a Web3 provider, but right now here, the VMs are probably the easiest way to get started from here. And it hooks you up with a bunch of different accounts here. This way you can practice sending transactions back and forth and stuff like that, okay? And there's different things from here. Once you deploy a smart contract, there's different buttons that will appear here. Like if you have a function to return a balance from here, you can call that function, and it gives you a little interface from here. So like I said, it gives you a pretty good way to work and interact with your smart contracts deployed to a virtual machine on the blockchain. But yeah, so this is Remix here, and this is what we're going to be working with more and more as I'm making more videos here. I just want to do like a brief introduction video here. This way, if I say, hey, go to Remix, you have something to work with from here, okay? Just as a little test here, why don't we open up one of these contracts from here? Now, I said before how there is, I'll tell you what here, let's copy these two top lines of code right from here, these two right here. And if I make a new file by hitting this button right here, and we're just going to call this test.sol, which stands for Solidity. At very first, if I just try to make a contract, and I call it something like my contract, and I open this up from here. If I go to this thing from here, this compiler, and I try to compile this from here, we're going to see that we get a warning. And these warnings are kind of annoying at first here. Basically, what's asking us to do, number one here, and we need to provide a Solidity version from here, the Pragma Solidity, which tells it what compiler to use. I said before how our compilers, there's different versions of the compiler from here. And because there are different versions from here, the syntax gets a little bit different. So it's important that if you design a contract with a certain version of compiler, you compile it with that same version. Otherwise, things might get messed up, or you might get some errors from here. I got a bunch of errors now. Oh man, what's going on here? So what you can do here is you can use Control S to save it here. And you can see all those go away from there. Or you could do an auto compile with optimization to there. This way, when you make something like you declare a new variable for whatever, it automatically saves from there. But you don't have to do that if you want here. If you've got to type it out and then hit Control S, works the same way here. Okay. So this is telling it what compiler I want to use here. And at the very top here, we have this license identifier here. Basically, there is, MIT license, a GPL license here. If you design a smart contract here, they want to see some type of license identifier associated with that smart contract from here. So if I get rid of that, it's not, my contract will still work, especially because it's a comment from here. But we see that we get this error. It's kind of annoying from there. So that's what's looking for from there. It's looking for this / for a comment, SPDX license identifier here. And you could use a GPL. You could use an MIT. To be honest, some of you guys might even know more about what GPL versus MIT and stuff like that is from here. But just keep in mind here that this is what it's looking for right now if you get that error, okay? All right, guys, in the next video here, we're going to start writing out some basic smart contracts here and interacting with Solidity a little more here. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to give me a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. I definitely have a lot more Solidity videos coming here. And Solidity is one of those things I found very confusing, very I stumbled with it at first here, but now I find it super interesting. And that's why I'm making these videos from here. So hopefully I can help you guys out too, and I hope you guys have a great day.